here we are swimming with the sharks with a great, we're foregoing a lot of the baloney that we typically do,
Right.
because we have a special guest, and I don't want to waste 1 minute talking bullshit when I have a chance to talk to the man himself here.
Let this man talk.
So, the best man at my wedding.
Yeah. Good looking guy.
Fine looking man, and I'm totally heterosexual.
Right.
But also, welcome to the show. Let me thank you. 1.9 million views. We got, of course, Cosby, the sidekick, never going to be an actual co-host. We got Rob, the technical guru, current events czar. We do that interchangeably. And we're in our new studio, and we have a guest. Man, he came in the back door.
Special guest today.
Special guest, and he's already cut jokes about me because he tried to put me out of business, but I prevailed.
I love you like my little brother.
I prevailed. Anyway, it's a lot safer here in this studio.
Yeah, well, it was. He may hit your car on the way in.
Yeah, he hit my car, but I have an AR-15 right back there.
Yeah, it's safe.
And we're safe, and we're. But anyway, Colby always tells me, follow us on YouTube, Instagram. What do you say?
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe, all that baloney. Okay. This is a great honor for us. I'm not just saying that. I mean, I think you can probably already tell that I have great warm feelings for this man. I'm not gonna go into his entire resume. He's been on this earth 75 years, and he's done a lot. And it all started Paint Creek, Texas.
Which is 200 miles west of Fort Worth in Haskell County, because there's not a lot of people who know where Paint Creek is. I'll tell you a quick story, just if I can interject.
No, go,
here.
please.
Paint Creek literally out in the southeast corner of Haskell County, which is your classic 30 by 30 square mile, 900 square miles of flat, pretty much just farming country.
Mm-hmm.
And I would suggest if we asked the people in the state of Texas where Haskell County was, if 2% of them could get it
how many
right,
people
I'd
in
be
the county?
surprised. Now there's about 4,500. When I was born, there was about 14,000. Of course, that was 75 years ago in 1950. But the point is, Paint Creek literally was a little school. It was a consolidation of a bunch of little schools in the late 1930s, and they put them all together on this farm to market road. That wasn't even a farm to market road back in those days, but that was the school. Had about 115 kids, grades 1 through 12 when I went. So played six-man football, tiny little place.
What was your position on six men?
What do you think it was?
Were you the quarterback?
Dang right, baby.
Seriously?
There we go.
All district. I played in the.
All right, you've heard it here first. All district quarterback in the six-man football team.
And I might add, played in the six-man all-star game in the fall of 1967, and
you've been an overachiever your whole life.
Every day,
an overachiever. What do you think? Why do you think that you've been an overachiever?
I had the most bucolic, most.
What do you mean by bucolic? You're going to start throwing big words at me now.
Bucolic means very beautiful, very pastoral, very quiet. Non-traumatic life.
Very supportive family.
I mean, my mother and dad both loved me. I knew it. I had everything that I needed. Now, I grew up in a house that didn't have running water and had just gotten electricity out there, REA, in the very late 40s, like 48, 49. I was born in 50. So we had electricity in the house, but we had an old carbide plant outside. That with the windmill where you were able to charge and have a light bulb or two prior to that. So, but we weren't poor. I mean, had everything we needed. Milk cows, had the garden, had the chickens.
What did your dad do?
My dad was a dryland cotton farmer. Now, in the early 50s, my dad also had a second job of driving. It's a piece of equipment that I'll let people go look up, a Fresno. Fresno was kind of a drag line where he helped build Lake Stamford, the dam at Lake Stamford, in the early 1950s, and he farmed. My dad was just a really hard-working guy, B-17 tail gunner in 1944, and early 45.
greatest
flew
generation.
35 missions and came home and met a girl, got married, and roughnecked for a couple of years out in Wink, and then decided that he wanted to farm and moved back to Paint Creek. And again, Paint Creek, small school on a farm to market road, Baptist church, Methodist church across the street.
What were you, Baptist?
No, Methodist.
Why?
Mom was Methodist, which is how most people kind of come to their faith. Not all. Someday you'll invite Clay Walker to come be your guest on the show, and Clay will share with you how he went from Assembly of God to Catholic. Now that's a great story right there, all by itself. But Paint Creek, back to Paint Creek, that tiny little place, just I guess you could call it a wide place in the road. No stop sign, no stop light, just a farm to market road, school, 2 churches. Had a little grocery store in those days. It's not there anymore. But that was it. Paint Creek was a community. Everybody in Haskell County knew where it was, but no.
Everybody knew who you were.
Not necessarily.
Really?
Well.
They must have known your family.
Oh, sure. Family had been there since the 1880s. So Dad was a county commissioner in 68. His grandfather was a county commissioner. His father-in-law, that grandfather's father-in-law, which would have been my great-great-grandfather, was a county judge who was also a state representative from Trinity County, Texas, who served with John Bell Hood in the 1st Texas Infantry. M Company was at Gettysburg, over on the far right-hand side of the Confederate lines. Anyway, great history. And Paint Creek, the reason I'm going back to Paint Creek because I want to share something with that I find of great note for me personally is if you looked on a road map, and this was back in the day, you don't know what a road map is.
No, I've never seen it.
I've seen a road map.
You've seen one? Okay, we use road maps all the time,
yeah.
right? Until these devices came along. And on that farm to market road, there wasn't anything there. It was just, here's Haskell, and it went out of here, and here's Lake Stanford. And
did it not even say Paint Creek?
No. Until 2003. And I picked up the phone and called the chairman of the Texas Department of Transportation, Rick Williamson. And I said, Rick, right here on the map, I want you to put a little dot and put Paint Creek. So I think I can literally say I put Paint Creek, Texas on the map.
You literally put it on the map.
Literally.
That's good.
That is kick-ass. How proud was your dad of you?
Oh, yeah.
Did he tell you? Was he the kind of man that would say, hey, son, like really tell you, I'm really proud of you, boy?
Yeah. So my dad wasn't particularly, he wasn't
I assume
talkative.
That.
He was very quiet, stoic.
Yeah.
And stoic in the sense of even if things weren't going well, my dad, you couldn't tell it. He was the most interesting fellow in a lot of different ways. When he laid down to go to sleep at night, went to sleep. Nothing ever bothered him. I mean, my dad was, he got shot at by Mr. Smiths and folk wolves and a lot of flack. And I asked him one time, I said, were you scared? And he said, well, yeah, you all were scared. But my dad had no PTSD. I mean, didn't have nightmares. He lay down, went to sleep. He was a rare bird in that sense. I mean, a lot of those guys, and I'm sure later in this podcast, we're going to talk about the work that we're doing on veterans' mental health and what have you. But my dad showed none of those. And I knew people who were in the war, who World War II, who did show signs, but not Dad.
So you would say his river ran deep.
Yeah, very much so. And I respected my dad. I mean, he whipped me with a belt from time to time, and I mean, my dad never abused me.
Yeah. Well, I can tell from your voice.
Chickens out to see how the dog would play with them, and the dog killed a rooster, and I didn't turn chickens out again.
Yeah. See, look how quickly you learned.
I learned very quickly.
So I don't want to go through your whole background, but I do want to hit some high points of things because you're a known quantity and people know you. Yeah. You made a comment one time that you've been in politics for a long time. You ran for president twice, but when you were on Dancing with the Stars, you became the most famous you'd ever been.
Oh, I don't know about that. Maybe. Yeah. But it was the hardest thing I ever did. Yeah. And not that, certainly I wasn't putting out too much effort during college. You've seen my scores before. Yeah. I was a gifted kid. I don't get confused about, intellectually gifted. I was, a passable athlete to, be a 6-man all-star. Right?
Yeah.
And so life came pretty easy for me. I mean, it came pretty easy for me until I got to Big Spring, Texas in the fall of 1972. And I was a second lieutenant going through undergraduate pilot training. And at that particular point in time, because of the academic rigor, because of learning to fly and the physical a lot of people don't think about the physical aspect of flying high-performance aircraft, but it's there. I mean, both physically, mentally, I was challenged like I'd never been challenged before. And in the back of my mind was this, I can't fail here. I mean, these guys are trying to run me off. I mean, they want half or more of these people to be gone by the end of this program. And I've got to work like I'd never worked before. And interestingly, it's when I first noticed mild to moderate insomnia and mild to moderate anxiety in my life. Now, I mask it pretty well. You knew me a long time. You didn't know that ever affected me. That's when it started. Again, we'll talk about this later as we get into veterans' mental health. But what I know now is because of severe concussions that I had as a young man, 2 times as a 6-man football player, or actually once playing dodgeball, once on the football field, and a horse accident, unloading horses. I was severely concussed. And what I mean by severely is I was knocked out for over 1 minute each time, cold cocked. And what we know is that those are cumulative in their effect on the brain. So going back to pilot training, it was very, very intensive. And I had real struggles in the T-37 program. I had an instructor that, as you know, whether it was in the Marine Corps or if it was in law school, instructors matter. And whether they connect with you and they know how to teach. I had an instructor in T-37s, and we just talked past each other. And I stayed in. They didn't wash me out, but I was last in the class going out of T-37s, hanging on with my fingernails. I would have been last in the class.
How many people washed out?
Well, there were 58 of us that started, and there were 26 that graduated.
So they wanted about half.
They got half of ours.
End of the half.
Going out of T-37s. Then I went into the T-38 program. That was the Rockwell American, supersonic jet trainer, just beautiful airplane. Looks like it's going Mach 1.2 sitting on the ramp. It was a great airplane. I had an instructor who graduated number 1 in his class and wanted to be a T-38 instructor, and they assigned me to him. And we hit it off. I mean, like, this guy was like, Perry, I got you figured out. And when he looked at me, it worked. I went from last in the reason I wasn't absolutely last in the class is there was an Iranian. This is in the days when we had Iranians and Nigerians and NATO pilots coming in for training. This guy was an Iranian, and he had washed back 5 times. Obviously, his father was somebody in Iran and kept him in the program. But otherwise, I would have been last in the class going out of T37s into T38s. I went from last in the class to, I think, either 12th or 13th in the class. I mean, I could fly the wings off a T38 thanks to this instructor. And it's just to my point that if you're wanting to be an instructor in anything, in law school, on a swimming team, your children, learn how to be a person who truly knows how to teach, how to connect. And the greatest lesson I learned in life out of that was that instructors really matter. Whether it's a first grade school teacher or whether it's a PhD in chemistry that's teaching, to really know how to teach. And I think it's a gift. Some people have it, some people don't. Mm-hmm. But that was the hardest thing that I'd ever done in my life, to focus at that particular point in time, mentally, physically, it was a tough year. They called it the year of 53 weeks. Pilot training lasted 53 weeks. And it was the hardest thing I ever did in my life until I went on Dancing with the Stars. And what was I, 70? No, wait, that was 70 yet. I was 66 years old. Relatively good shape, but I wasn't a dancer. And it was physically really intense. I mean, these are really good athletes. Yeah. I mean, they're like gymnasts.
Right.
I mean, they're hard.
How much did you have to practice?
I practiced 3 days a week. Had a little place over outside of Round Top where the
they came to you.
They came to me. Yeah.
And you still came in last?
No.
How'd you do?
I came in third from last.
So you weren't eliminated first?
No.
How long were you on the show?
Well, I think I was on the show for 4 weeks, and then I came back for the...
Did you like it?
It was fun.
What did Anita think about it?
I think after... Well, she was kind of like, what
are you doing?
What the heck are you doing? You don't dance. You don't even dance with me.
You don't even dance with me.
Yeah. For me, life has always been about go test yourself.
Yeah.
It's to your point that you were asking about, here you are, nobody, no name, no place. What struck the fire that caused you to be competitive? I don't know if I know the answer to that, but I mean, literally in the first grade, I was running for Prince of the Carnival.
Really?
Yeah. And all the way through school, I was kind of like, I'll try that. I'll do that.
Something. You must have had some kind of confidence in yourself or something, or you wanted to prove something.
Yeah. I'm not a good enough psychologist to be able to answer that question.
Well,
I just know that in that school, I'm not going to say I was the kid always had my hand up in the back of the class going, "Oh, ask me, teacher, ask me, teacher."
Yeah.
But I was never afraid to fail. And I think and I have no idea how I got that or why that happened. I was never afraid to fail. And my life is a string of failures.
Yeah. But yet you keep coming back.
It's.
So you were, okay. That's interesting. I always wondered about you, because a lot of times when you have these success stories like yours, like somebody who comes from literally a place like Paint Creek and all of a sudden becomes, a household name, who becomes the governor, secretary of energy, and all the other things that you've done. Usually it's like they've had some kind of struggle in their life, or maybe they felt like they had a chip on their shoulder, but it sounds like from your childhood was more of, you had a very loving, warm, supportive.
What was that word I used?
Bucolic childhood.
Yeah.
So you were a yell leader at A&M. Boy, you must have been.
Before that, I was class officer
at A&M.
The end of our freshman year, we had elections for sophomore offices. I ran for and was elected to be the social secretary for the class of 72. Is that awesome?
Is that why you became yell leader then? Because you'd already everybody
I think it was, it goes back to what happened in the first grade. This was interesting. I wanted to put myself out there to be, there's a certain amount of, listen, I've watched Tony Buzbee for
I can't get elected a dog catcher.
But you are a performer. You thrive off of standing in front of a jury and performing. I mean, you're good at it, obviously. I mean,
I'm good at, that's one thing I'm good at.
And you're good at a lot of things. But the point is, there's and again, we need to get some psychiatrist on here someday and say, why are people like me? Why do we do what we do? Why, as a 6-year-old, did I go, I want to be the prince of the carnival? Why did I run for office, class office, when I was in the freshman in high school, and I was picked to be the FHA beau?
Sweet, yeah.
I mean, come on. It's like I was a class. I mean, listen, there weren't, but I tell people, this is pretty funny, Tony, you'll appreciate this. Before people really knew much about my history, when I was running for state rep, I would humorously tell people, I graduated in the top 10 in my high school class.
How many people were in the class?
And some smart aleck would ask, well, how many were in there? Yeah. And we had a larger than normal class. We had 13.
And what were you?
I was number 3.
That's something.
I was number 3. I was the high point boy. There were 2
So
young
you must
ladies.
have gotten to graduation. You probably did the benediction or the opening prayer.
You know what? I think I've got my what was the thing that you did over at the baccalaureate?
Yeah.
That you did that at the church.
Yeah.
And I think it shows me doing one of the.
Usually, if you're not valedictorian or salutatorian, you'd get to do the prayer. That's what I did.
I think the salutatorian got to do the welcome.
Yeah.
And then the Linda Griffith did the valedictory.
Hey, as a yell leader at A&M, were you like a man much in demand? I'm assuming so.
I don't think so. Now, I'm curious about your definition of
got all the ladies.
Oh, no, that was Tommy Orr.
So you have to know Tommy Orr. See, I laugh because I look at Rick, who's still a fine looking man at age 75, and I look at Tommy.
Tommy got all the girls. He was amazing.
That's funny.
I think I was a little shy. I know that sounds weird.
Yeah.
But around women, I was a little bit shy.
Interesting.
So, anyway.
All right. So we're not going to go through your entire background. Obviously, you flew C-130s in the Air Force.
Yeah, I left A&M, and Vietnam War was still going on. And I had taken a contract with the Air Force. So when I graduated, and I graduated in August, took me a little while. I changed majors. I went to school to be a veterinarian, and then organic chemistry kind of changed my life and sent me down a different
path. As me. I went to be a civil engineer, and then I became a psychologist.
Yeah. So.
I looked around at all these nerds in that class. I was like, man, there's no way I can.
Yeah, you don't really strike me as a civil engineer.
Can you imagine me as an engineer
I don't think
with a pencil in my pocket? Like, come on. Seriously? So organic chemistry kind of changed your life in some way too.
And so that was the end of my sophomore year. And there were a lot of different things happening in my life. I was running for yell leader, junior yell leader, Tommy and I. Tommy will be first to tell you, if you ask him, that he got more votes than I did.
Oh.
Both.
So he was a popular guy.
Yeah, he was most popular. Junior and senior yell leader, he got a few more votes than I did. So, but
what do you think about those Aggies?
It didn't hurt my feelings.
On Saturday.
Still here 50 plus years.
Yeah, I can tell it doesn't bother you. I can tell it doesn't bother you at all right now. What about those Aggies?
Listen, I remember 1975. I'm sitting in Incirlik, Turkey, at the Air Force Base. I'm second lieutenant, flying with another Aggie that had been my squadron commander my fifth year, his senior year. And he'd gone off, flown a couple of tours in Vietnam, and we ended up flying together. I was his co-pilot, 2 Aggies together, Incirlik, Turkey. It was the first week of December 1975. The Aggies were number 2 in the nation. They had just beat the T-Sips, and we were, I think, either 9-0 or 10-0. We were undefeated. And all we had to do was go beat a mediocre Arkansas team on the 4th day of December. I remember this because I've looked it up because it had such a deep impact on me. And we were sitting there, listening to it on Armed Forces Net. And first half of the game against South Carolina, that happened the whole game in Arkansas, in Fayetteville. And they beat us 31-6. Mm-hmm. I've been to the altar with the Aggies so many times. Mm-hmm. Is this it?
It's always false. I'm just waiting for it to. I mean,
is this it? You know, I'm battered Aggie syndrome.
Me too.
Talk about.
Me too.
But it's going to happen someday. This may be it. Elko is.
Don't we deserve this?
We do.
We deserve this.
You know, no offense to anybody else, but yeah, we do.
I say screw them all. We deserve this. Yeah.
And I'm thinking this is it.
You really think so?
Yeah, I do.
Are you gonna go to the game in Austin?
Oh yeah,
you are.
I'm gonna go to the march in at 1:00. I'm gonna watch the Aggies march in. I'm gonna go to a tailgate at 3:00, and then I'm gonna be in the stadium with my maroon on.
Those sons of bitches are gonna be gunning for us.
Well, I'm.
They would like nothing better than to spoil this. Now we're still going to playoff.
Well.
But we won't go to the SEC championship.
I'm intrigued with, after Georgia kind of manhandled Texas,
I don't know.
Will there be that
there will be
enthusiasm?
Yes, they will. Yes.
I'm
and you know Peter Taft's kid.
Oh, great kid. Good God. Michael's just.
Michael, my godson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What a fine young man.
Fine kid. But this is
hey, for 3 hours, Michael, I ain't going to love you, buddy.
No, not in this one. Let me ask you something. I'm going to ask you about Ivy Game because I know that's what you've been really working hard on that, and it's really your passion. But I want to ask you some other stuff before we get to that, if that's okay. And some of this stuff may be a little off the wall. Mm-hmm. And I didn't give you these questions in advance.
Nope. And just for purposes of setting the table here, I've been in this business for a long time. Mm-hmm. For 40 years, I've been asked things. It took me a while to learn this lesson that I don't have to answer if I don't want to.
That's true. That's
true. Just know that's the rules for me.
I think you'll.
If I think your question is out of line or stupid,
out of bounds, I'll let you know.
Or just doesn't deserve an answer.
Well, I know
I'll look at you like a dog that heard a funny noise.
I know you're going to answer these because these are offered up with love.
Yeah.
Do you believe in God?
That's what he always says.
Let me ask you
before he.
Yeah. No, this is what I really am curious about other people's experience on this earth because as older I get, the more aware I become
that there is an afterlife and that God's real and He loves you.
Yeah. So here's my question to you: you obviously believe in God, but how do you know?
So intellectually and spiritually, I know. So intellectually, because, and I'm no Bible scholar, but I have read and studied the Bible enough and visited Israel multiple times, and now know that the archaeology is proving up things that maybe even 50 years ago, people go, oh, that's just a myth or what have you. It's kind of like, oh, no, there is a pool of Siloam over there. I mean, they found it and right there, and they talked about it. And you got all of the biblical references that shows you that Jesus Christ was real and He lived and that He was crucified, and 3 days later He was resurrected, and those individuals that saw Him, I mean, there is clear intellectual evidence that Jesus Christ was real, that he's the Son of God.
That he died?
That he died.
That he was resurrected?
Yes, sir. So I intellectually, I believe all that. At 14 years old, sitting in the little pew of, there was probably 30 people that went to Paint Creek Methodist Church every Sunday. But we had a revival, and there was a pastor there. And I didn't even know who John Wesley was, the founder of the Methodist Church at that particular point. I was 14 years old. I'd probably heard his name before, but I didn't know who he was. But a very intriguing thing happened to him at a place called Aldersgate in London, which I've been to subsequently. He had what he referred to as his heart was strangely warmed. And that warming of the heart, from my perspective, spiritually, is the Holy Spirit coming into you, your physiological body, warming your heart, and literally showing you, or not necessarily showing you, giving you that sensation of a warmed heart, of the Holy Spirit clearly giving you the evidence. I'm real, I'm here. So those two things together.
That happened at 14 at a revival.
That's correct. Now,
how does it stay warm?
Well, that's interesting, because my soul was saved at that moment. And once saved, always saved, in my faith. But I went on about life. And, I went to church and stayed engaged, went off to college, didn't go to church much, went into the Air Force, way, way off being anybody of perfection, okay?
Were you saying you're partying and chasing women?
I led a life that was probably not as Christian oriented as I would.
Okay, well, lay that part aside. Let's say party and chasing women, but you weren't doing anything dishonest.
Oh, no. Don't get me wrong. And I wasn't terribly Mr. Party, and certainly wasn't Mr. Gigolo.
You don't strike
at all.
No.
But I wasn't Mr. Perfect either. And
do you have some internal, where you,
yes,
this
it's
is
called
perfect?
A conscience. I got a very, very strong conscience about stepping across the line.
Did you have that before?
Literally.
Did you have that before your heart, the warming of your heart at age 14, or is that something that
I think my parents taught me, and my community taught me. My scoutmaster was also the superintendent of my Sunday school, and he was also the president of the school board, and he was also the class of 1932 at Texas A&M, which was Rutter's class. This was a great man.
Yeah.
And he helped mold me, my father, and one other gentleman who was my ag extension agent, and then my football coach, who was also my civics teacher and principal and bus driver.
Wow.
And basketball and track coach.
Sounds like you had a really tight community.
And he was a United States Marine.
Hell yeah.
James Ross Mickler whipped my ass.
Hell yeah.
One day we were playing O'Brien in basketball, and we were screwing off, not playing with intensity. And he said, if you guys aren't ahead by 10 points at the half, I'm whipping your ass. We were
in what way would he whip your ass?
Well, I'm going to get to that. So we were up by 8.
And he whipped your ass?
And he took you remember our chairs that had the wooden slat?
Yeah.
He took out one of those slats on a wooden chair and gave everybody a lick.
Because y'all were only up by 8?
Because he said, if you're not up by 10.
That's a good Marine right there.
That's right there. He's hard.
That's a good Marine.
I loved him.
Yeah, I love him too. I don't even know him.
Shit. So you're okay. So you.
So anyway, let me
keep going.
Let me get back here because it gets to my point. I would probably fit into the backslider mold. Okay, someone who was saved and then kind of, I got this, God. Call me if you need me, but I got this.
My will, not yours.
Yeah, and so go through life. End up a aircraft commander in the United States Air Force. I'm flying Uncle Sam's big C-130 all around the world, calling the command post and in charge of a lot of.
Oh, I can see you doing this.
And I'm not cocky, but I'm pretty self-assured that I got this. Yeah. And I decide to depart. Vietnam War is over with. I've done my part. I really don't know what I want to do, but I know being in the Air Force I've done my part. And on the first day of March, 1977, I wake up as Private Citizen Perry.
Had you pinned on your captain bars already?
I'm a captain.
Okay. So you were a captain and then you were a civilian.
Former captain in the United States Air Force aircraft commander. And I woke up in my old bed, in my old room, with my football number on the door and the All-Star program pinned on the bulletin board. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was lost as a goose in a snowstorm. And God really dealt with me.
Oh.
In a harsh way.
Tell me.
I think I was clinically depressed. Over the next few months, as I trying to figure out, what am I doing? I'm back living in my old room. My dad still thinks I'm kind of this dumbass that's left, 8 or 9 years before.
He didn't buy into the fact that you were a big-time captain in the Air Force?
No, because I hadn't shown him that I recognized the respect that I should have shown him. I mean, why should I, right? He hadn't gone to college.
Oh.
Huh. How smart could he be?
Yeah.
And it took me about 6 months of God kind of wadding me up. My dad was incredibly wise and smart. And I figured it out over that 6-month period of time. It was kind of like, this guy is a lot smarter than I ever gave him credit for. And, wadded me up.
What? Tell me more.
So, clinically depressed.
Did you know you were depressed?
Yeah, when you lay in bed and you don't want to get up and you just lay there. Again, I listened to music I was a mess. My girlfriend wouldn't have anything to do with me. I was pretty cool when I was a pilot in the Air Force, flying around, wearing flight suits and traveling around the world, flying big airplanes. When I moved back to the farm and wearing, dirty jeans and long greasy hair, and I lost a lot of my cool.
So this was a dark moment in your life.
Yeah.
6 months?
Yeah.
How did you pull out of it?
So God wadded me up, literally, just physically, mentally, crushed me. I would be driving along the road and kind of look around and go, where am I? I was a sick boy.
So you were on top of the world, and then you just crashed.
Crashed, literally.
Have you ever had that happen to you since?
No.
Huh.
And I talked to some pastors and figured out that I interestingly had a guy who was in hindsight, he was a prophet, and I became very involved in my church. That became my real focus, and the church was became where I just, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Gave you a purpose.
And this guy told me, he said, God is going to give you a pulpit where you save literally thousands of lives. And so I thought that meant I was supposed to go into the ministry.
Yeah.
And I started looking around, okay, so where is this ministry? What am I supposed to do? And Wycliffe Bible translators were an outfit that particularly a lot of work in South America. And they needed pilots to fly their people. And I applied to go work for them. Because I thought, okay, that's it. That, the only thing I'd ever been professionally trained to do was fly airplanes. And I had everything except an airline transport pilot. I had ATP. I didn't have a power plant and airframe ticket. That was a license that you had to work on engines, work on airframes. Mm-hmm. I didn't have that. And that precluded me from doing that. So it's like, okay, God has put hurdles up in front of me and removed hurdles before. It's kind of fascinating. We may not have enough time in this podcast to talk about all of them, but two of them completely changed the trajectory of my life. And I'll tell you quickly, obviously didn't go do the Wycliffe route, stayed at home, got focused, got happy, got satisfied. This is where God wants me to be. And, I'll pay attention to you, God, and you got this. So I got home on the first day of March, 1977. It did not rain. I mean, literally did not rain for the next close to 14, 15 months. Spring of 1977, no rain, we missed a cotton crop. Fall of 1977, no rain, we missed a wheat crop. The federal government fills out this form on your Social Security, shows all your wages and then what your pay is into that. In 1977, I had 2 months I had January, February of, captain's pay, flight pay, and then nothing. 1978, the entire year of 1978, I was living with my parents, not making any money at all. If you look at my record today, 1978 is zero. I had zero income. So by spring of 1978, and it hadn't rained again, we weren't going to make a cotton crop in 1978, I said, and Dad and I had a lovely relationship by this time. He had figured out that I wasn't quite the dummy he had sent off 9 years before. And
you had figured out
he had become really smart in that period of time. And we'd become very, very close personal friends, as well as respected him as my dad. And we subsequently became partners, but that was a little later. At that particular point in time, I said, Dad, I love you, and I'm happy here. But I said, I got to go do something, make a living. And he said, hey, you need to go do what you need to do and you want to do. He said, I'd love for you to stay here and farm and ranch with me. And he said, it'll rain. Always does.
Eventually.
I had a class date in September of 1978 to go to work with Southwest Airlines. This was back in the days when you had to have a friend inside, write a letter for you, and I did. Kim Ratliff, who was my classmate at A&M, and he had left the Air Force, was flying for Southwest, and he had written my introductory letter. In September 78, on the 5th day of August, it rained 30 inches in 24 hours. It was a probably 500-year event. This wasn't a 100-year flood. This was a 500-year flood. I mean, it just flooded our part of the world. And I took that as God going, you just stay right there. I'll take care of you. And I didn't go to Dallas. And I stayed and farmed and ranched and made it work. Got married. Started having a family. Got elected to the state house.
Go back to the prophet. What was his name?
Oh, I couldn't tell you now.
He told you, it's obviously stuck with you. He told you what?
He told me, he said, you are going to have a very, very large pulpit. And save literally thousands of lives.
And so at what point did you believe that what he had told you was being someone in elected office? Or did you ever think that?
I'm not sure I ever thought that until hindsight. And maybe far enough into the future that it was in the mid-2000s. And I look back and remembered that conversation. And I look at a pulpit that I had no idea could be as big as the office of the governorship of the state of Texas. It's a pretty big pulpit.
Yeah.
How many lives did you impact during that period of time? Is it that period of time that he was even referencing? Or is it now?
Could it be what you're doing
Americans
now?
for Ibogaine?
Yeah. All right.
I can't answer that.
But
I know for a fact that God's real. He has dealt with me. I've trusted him with my life, and he has allowed me to live the most extraordinary life. I mean, nothing that I could have dreamed up in my wildest dreams as a 6-year-old first grader at Paint Creek Rural School, running for Prince of the Carnival, that someday you're going to be at the place you are today, with not only the history that you've had, the things that you're still getting to do at 75 years old, the wealth that's been blessed upon you, wealth both in monetary ways and in just the riches that you've been given with an extraordinary family.
Maybe you should have been a preacher.
I think I am. I may not be a classic preacher, but I think I share that here's if you'll believe, here's what God will make available to you.
Let me ask you about that. So on July 4th of this year, there was a flood, and it killed 27 little kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think I may get their name, but it's you know what I'm talking about.
Kerrville, Texas.
Yeah. And so here's something that people struggle with. I think I have the answer, and at least in my mind, I think each person has to find that answer. But how is it that we think about God as ubiquitous, who knows everything that's going to happen, but also there's free will?
Yep.
How does things like that happen?
Yeah. Why does God let bad things happen to good people?
Like that. Yeah. And I know it's been asked a million times, but what's your answer?
Yeah. And my answer is that when the fall occurred in the garden, when Satan came and said, if you eat this fruit that will give you wisdom, and you can become God. And we fell for it. And that introduced sin into the world and the corruption that Satan brings into the world. But with that said, that free will and this corrupt world that we live in, God still, I mean, I read the book. We win in the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I not to be too frivolous here, but I'm hoping that's the story of this football season.
Mm-hmm.
We win in the end.
But I just like, for somebody, and we've all had some kind of loss in our lives, or we will if we haven't. What do you just say? Because you don't know what the plan is. You're just supposed to sit back and trust.
Yeah. I mean, and I find that comforting, quite frankly, is that
am I to expect something good's going to come out of that?
Yes. You're talking about something good out of
something very terrible?
Something very terrible. You're going to get to be with those children. If you live your life and when you stand before the judgment seat, and God has forgiven you of your sins and he brings you into his heavenly realm, those children are going to be there. And you're going to spend eternity with them. This is a wisp here, Tony. I mean, even if you and I live to be 95 or 100 years old, I mean, in this temporal world we live in, that seems like, well, that's a long life. And man, so, you and I are sitting here talking about, gosh, from, 1956 to here we are, 2025, and all these different things that you and I have done together and are that we've done individually, that you as this extraordinarily well-known trial lawyer, this me having done the things that I've done, it literally is a wisp.
It's nothing, is it?
It's nothing. And we have the opportunity in our free will of saying, I want to be with you. And those children are my loved ones for eternity. Then it makes all of these hard times and rough times and times that I can't get my mind around because of the brutality or the pain, the anguish, either mentally or physically or both, in this little temporal world that we live in. But to keep in mind that it's just literally, I mean, it's like a little whisk of vapor out there on a cool fall day. Comes out of your mouth, and then your life is gone, and you have eternity.
Your faith, it sounds like your faith is not just, I believe, but it's also, I believe that God knows what's best for me.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a little different. It's one thing to say, I believe.
Yeah.
It's a little different to say, I believe that God knows what's best for me, and that this is what's best for me. That gives you, that's where the comfort comes, I think.
Yes. But here's an interesting one. How about somebody that hadn't lived the bucolic, pastoral,
that'd be me,
blessed life? Maybe that is suffering through a chronic illness, has had just brutal things happen in their life. They've been sexually assaulted. They've had all types of different things happen to them in their life, and they're kind of like, God hadn't taken care of me very well.
What about them?
But the point is the temporal nature of this life.
It's just a drip.
It's not even a drip.
All right, I'm gonna switch gears. We got a little deep there, but let me ask you. First off, they say that there's as you age, there's kind of two places in your life where you kind of, quote, fall off. Have you heard this? Where you age very quickly at a certain amount of time. They say that at age 75.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You're fixing to
I'm
set me up for the
I'm setting you up, but
the abyss.
I'm curious to know from your perspective, because I think most people who look at you would say, man, that guy looks like well put together. We were talking before you came here. We're going through the internets. and looking at your hair. And Colby, who prides himself on his
I
hair,
said maybe you can give me some
he said,
tips on
"You
how to
got
keep
any
that
hair
going."
tips? Don't tell me all you do is get up and just do like that, or do you do something with your hair?
Yeah, it's good hair.
You got great hair.
I got great hair.
You just blessed.
That's my mama.
So
Look,
you don't do anything.
It's like your genetics. There's now I can go in there and do different things with my hair. I mean, you can go obviously do different things with your hair. I'm curious about what that's all about. But
He had a hat on before he got here and took it off.
No,
It's
you
so
took
cool.
your hat off and your hair looks perfect.
yeah. So thank you, mother. My mother has
Your mom just had great hair.
Great hair.
You know they used to call you Governor Good Hair.
Oh yeah.
Did that
Molly
bother you?
eyes.
Did it bother you?
Well, it's better than Governor Dumbass, right? I mean, if they're gonna call you something, good hairs.
Well, I
fair
love
enough.
it. I'm going to ask you another question. I don't want to be too out of bounds.
I
but
think they've called me Governor Dumbass too. So just for the record.
I didn't say shit. But at some point you started wearing glasses, and there was a big controversy. Like, what's he wearing glasses? He wants to look smarter. All that shit.
Yeah.
Why did you start wearing glasses?
So I was sitting. This was in 2010.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the governor's office, and they had a big long vent, and it was just a kind of a black about that. And one day I looked up, and it had a bow to it. It wasn't just a straight line. And so I went to see Dr. Army Harper, who is a retina expert. Great man. Matter of fact, his son, Clio, is a captain in the United States Marine Corps flying F-35s.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, can you think of anything cooler than to be an F-35 pilot in the United States Marine Corps?
Yes, I can. Would you like to know what it is? A recon officer in the United States Marine Corps.
Well, that's just Tony Buzbee.
Done,
right
baby.
there.
Okay, go ahead.
But anyway, I think strapping on an F-35.
Oh, you fly boys
and
think
going,
that. You
well,
guys drink
look,
your own damn Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about the fly boys. You go to the officer club, you walk in.
That's right. I tell people, when I was 26 years old, you know what my two biggest concerns were?
What's that?
What time does the old club bar open, and do they take a check? You don't know what a check is.
Yeah, no, you don't know a check.
A check or a map.
Yeah.
map.
Anyway, I would be sitting up there between these two Marine Corps pilots, and they're flying a CH-46, and they're going to drop it because their job is just to go drop us off, and they're done for the day. And by the time I'm like 3 clicks down into the trail wherever the hell we're going, they're back at the O Club drinking, talking about how much work training they've been doing.
No, it's tough.
And yeah, so I don't think flyboys. I don't have any. I mean, thank you for the ride.
Yeah.
And thanks for dropping me off 10 or 12 clicks in the wrong spot and causing me an extra half day of walking.
Yeah.
And I hope you enjoy your drinks at the O Club.
And I hear that, and I respect it and expect it.
Grunts pound the ground.
I've got a picture. I think it is January of 1968. And it's the first successful landing of a C-130 at Quezon to pick you Marines up and get your ass out of there. So when you get ready to say
they always come up with that bullshit.
I would be appreciative.
The Navy does the same thing. The Navy does. Thank us for the naval
for getting you
gunfire.
out of the sling that you were in.
Okay, so you didn't wear the glasses just to look smarter. You obviously had some.
So Dr. Harper, who is a renowned retina expert, he diagnosed me as a condition called pre-retinal fibrosis. Now, what we didn't talk about is in 19, kind of some of those things that, for whatever reason, I was healed from a injury that happened to my left eye.
Were you kicked by a horse?
I was standing across a football field, a 6-man football field, and one of my best friends in high school threw a rock.
Oh, my God.
And I looked out from behind a light pole, and that rock hit me. It was a rock about that big around. It hit me directly in the eye, thrown from all the way across.
Oh, wow.
And it ruptured all the blood vessels and obviously did some damage. Don't Dr. Thigpen, who subsequently became my father-in-law. This was in the summer of 60. No, this was in 67, I guess. I think. He sent me to Abilene. They didn't know anything to do except just addle me, give me some compounds to keep me in bed for a week and let this thing stop bleeding and heal. During that period of time, there was a lady who worked with us who was a devout Catholic. And she came over and prayed over me, prayed for the healing of my injury. And when I got where I could leave the bed, she took me to a Catholic church in Stamford, Texas, and took me in, lit a candle, prayed over me, and my eyesight was good enough to be a pilot in the United States Air Force.
You believe she healed you? Not her, but you believe her prayers healed you?
I think her prayers were part of a healing process. Yeah, I do. I think prayers work. I think I don't think we mere mortals understand how it works, but a prayer given in faith is a very powerful thing. So 40 years later, I started having issues with my eyes. And if I take these glasses, matter of fact, I went by to see Dr. Harper within the last 10 days, and he examined my eyes. And I have damage to my retina, particularly my left one. And if I look at a line that looks like this one bows in, that one bows in on a straight line.
And that corrects it.
And this corrects it. I have 20/20 vision.
Still.
With these on.
Oh, okay.
Corrected to 20/20. So there you go. Now, did it make me look smarter?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, I think it did.
It did make you look smarter.
I'll tell you an interesting thing.
Did you feel smarter?
That was in 2012, right after the presidential, or we got out of the presidential, I think is when I started wearing them. And the one thing that I noticed, now, granted, look, I had been the governor of Texas for a decade. I ran for president. That flamed out pretty quick. But I had some exposure that I didn't have before. But the thing that I noticed when I started wearing the glasses was people started recognizing. And
because of the glasses?
I don't know. I mean, you can tell when people recognize
you.
I mean,
they may not say anything, but they do a double take.
But you're getting on an airplane, you're walking down the street, and you can tell you're in an elevator with somebody. And the people, they've recognized you. They may not say anything to you, but there's a tick that happens that you can recognize. And that started happening to me in 2012. So
you served as governor for 14 years. The longest, for now at least, the longest serving governor in the history.
I expect to be the second longest serving governor.
I heard him say the other night that one of the reasons that he wanted to be the longest serving governor. And God bless him for that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Greatest job in the world. I can totally get it why he would want to be
you were a very good
governor.
You were a very good governor. You were very good.
We were successful.
I'm proud
Had a good team.
Proud to know you.
Had a good team.
So now you're a private citizen. You've been Secretary of Energy. You were the Lieutenant Governor. You were the Governor. You were the Secretary of Agriculture.
Ag Secretary.
You were State
Commissioner.
Commissioner. You were State Rep. Do you drive?
Interesting that you would ask that. I drove over here today.
So you just drive like any other person?
Well, I'm not sure.
You probably don't drive. I'm not asking about how well you drive.
Yeah.
But so you just get in your car and drive places?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what kind of car do you drive?
I didn't drive for 17 years.
Yeah.
And then I drove out of the governor's mansion in a then
Toyota.
2015 Toyota, because I'd recruited
Tacoma or
Toyota.
something, yeah.
Yeah.
But now you drive something different.
I'm driving a GMC Yukon.
I thought you had a Mercedes.
I did, but I traded it. Great car.
So you're driving a GMC Yukon. That's like a, what is
Like
that?
a Tahoe.
Tahoe thing.
Yeah, this is the
SUV.
This is the smaller one.
And so you just drive around like a private citizen.
Yeah.
Park.
Yeah.
No security. I'm not trying to get you attacked, but no security.
Well, listen, everybody. I mean, I'm a pretty visible person.
I know. I just understand how. I mean, can you go anywhere without people like wanting to say hi to you or talk to you?
It's yes, but it's pretty interesting. One of my most interesting times, I was getting on. It was my first trip as the Secretary of Energy, international trip, and I went to Rome to a G7 meeting of energy secretaries. This was the G7, big 7 countries all got together. We had an energy conference. And it was when I figured out that this job as Secretary of Energy was going to be even more interesting than I recognized or knew about. I'm on my way back, sitting in business class, and this little family starts coming by. It's a couple, 2 or 3 children, young man, mom and dad. And the guy made eye contact, and he got that look.
Mm-hmm.
And he got up right by me, and he put his hand out, and he said, "Secretary," gave me his name, said, I work for you. I was kind of like, well, that's interesting. I said, I'll come visit with you here after we get leveled off. So I went back, and his family was all sitting there together. He gave me his card. I said, how do you work with me? He was headed to Paris. That's where he was stationed. He worked for Interpol. But he was a Department of Energy employee. And his job was to track nuclear materials that we didn't exactly know maybe where all of this nuclear material was. After the old Soviet Union fell, there were a lot of things happening. And one of the jobs of the United States government is to know where all of these nuclear materials. And at that particular point in time, I was kind of like, this is going to be a more interesting job than I even recognized.
Well, you brought this up, so I gotta ask, because if I don't ask, Robert will be upset with me.
I've been there, Robert.
I know
where this question is going.
I want to know. First off, are there aliens?
So
I don't mean illegal aliens that need to be deported.
For purposes of clarity.
Yeah.
The place that you reference is called Area 51.
See, I didn't say it yet, but you obviously know what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, everybody does. I mean, this is not a
We want
secret.
to know. We want to know what you, as Secretary of Energy, were you responsible for Area 51?
So Area 51 is in...
Sir, I'm just asking a question. Were you responsible for it?
North and west of Las Vegas, in the National Nuclear Security Area.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a fascinating amount of operational interest in that part of the world. For instance, Yucca Mountain is there, which is one of the most interesting of in an interesting area. I think Yucca Mountain's one of the. We've spent literally billions of dollars out there digging out a place to store nuclear materials. Now, it's not ever going to happen because Nevada and it's not going to happen. And I think our technology has taken us to the point where we recognize now maybe the highest and best use of this nuclear material is to recycle it rather than to go put it in a hole in the ground for 1,000,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the recycling of this nuclear material, number one, I think it's going to be a real job creator for whoever decides this is where we want to do this. But the most fascinating place I saw out there, my first trip as the Secretary of Energy was to go visit that site, that National Nuclear Security Site.
Area 51?
And well, Area 51 is part of it.
Okay.
It's a very large. I mean, all of that, Groom Lake, all of those places you heard about, and places you never heard about that are out there that are highly classified that we're not going to talk about. But I went to Yucca Mountain. I'm driving back. We're on a bus with probably 9 other people, and we pass. I'm going to tell you 1,000,000 square feet at least. Of not warehouse, but you can. It's a very different looking structure, white siding, a couple stories high, but out to the side of it was what looked like the gantry that you would see at Cape Canaveral. Mm-hmm. The bottom part of a gantry, but it appeared to be an upside down gantry. And it was grown up, and there were parking lots that were empty, but you could tell it hadn't been used. I mean, so we're driving by this, and I went, "What's that?" And the guy said, he said, "That's pretty interesting." He said, back in the 70s, he said, we had a project of which we were trying to send a man to Mars. And he said this was where they did all of the engine work and all the research for the engine work. And he said that gantry out there was where they tested an engine that was nuclear powered. And he said it worked like a champ. The problem was, because of the radioactivity of that type of material, it would kill the astronauts. I mean, that's kind of like, okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Now, seriously, our government, we throw a lot of Jell-O at the wall, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
see what sticks.
And to see what sticks. So we're going to send somebody. And the good news wasn't anybody lost their life over it. We probably spent, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. But that's one of the fascinating things that and I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent here. I'm just saying it's a really interesting thing about this country we live in and the innovators and the, think about Nikola Tesla. Think about all of these brilliant people who have, come and gone and it's America's innovation, Tony, that I think makes us unique in the world.
Do you remember my question, though?
Yeah, I do. But, and
you can't answer it.
And I wouldn't. I'm not gonna.
But have you seen the controversy? Not controversy, but these people all coming.
I've seen the conspiracy.
These people coming forward and saying that there's a separate part of the government, that the leadership is not, involved in it. That it was put into the private sector and it's been kept secret. Have you seen all that?
Yeah.
Do you believe any of that?
I think there's probably things that go on in the government that you and I might find to be curious and we'd want to know about, but that's really none of our business.
Okay, here's a more bigger question. Laying aside what's at Area 51, the purpose of it, all the stuff about it, all the conspiracy.
But there's probably a lot of good things that have come out of that part of the you think about, I know for a fact, and now this is public, the SR-71 program was there, and it was highly classified, and I think it was part of the reason that we defeated the Soviet Union, is because we had these extraordinary aircraft, and if we're out, signaling to the Communist Party of China, here's what we got over here, and that's not in our best interest, and I don't think that's in the country's best interest to be laying out every classified program that we've got anywhere in the world. There's always going to be people, well, it's our right to know all of this. Well, there's I think, this is my position, there are things that the average citizen doesn't necessarily need to know about because they can't keep their mouth shut. Mm. And by not keeping your mouth shut, you just killed American citizens somewhere. So finding the balance between your right to know and that citizen's right to life is, I'm going to fall down on the side of keeping our citizens alive rather than giving some busybody. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Am I being a busybody?
From time to time. But
I just ask a
listen,
question.
It's your job to ask questions.
Yeah.
It's my job to
Well, can I ask you a bigger question? Like, just to lay it, let's just take Area 51 out of our minds right now.
We're off aliens.
Do you believe that they're extraterrestrials? Do you believe in other life outside of the United States and our world? And
So here's my kind of broad observation.
Yeah.
If you believe in infinity,
Mm-hmm.
and why wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not believe in infinity? I guess is a better question.
Do you mean like infinity galaxies, et cetera?
I'm like, if you go out there for as long as you can go, there's something else out there, right?
Yeah.
So our human minds have a very hard time with infinity.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So let's say we're expanding ours right here today, and that we do have a concept of it just goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
What's to say that there's not a place that, and whether you believe in God or not, or your listener believes in God or not,
Mm-hmm.
that there could be the proper distance from heat source, or maybe life's in a different form,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe life's in a different dimension.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, boy, you could take this conversation and go a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
But are there other forms of life out there? I have no idea. I'm a lowly animal science major from the beloved Texas A&M.
Okay.
But what I'm going to tell you is, why not?
Yeah.
Why not somewhere?
Yeah.
Is it worth me spending a lot of time thinking about? No.
Got you.
But thank you for the question.
Let me ask you, in 2019 were the designated survivor?
Yes.
Tell us what that is and what that means.
So, try to get the Cliff Notes version here for you. When the entirety of government comes together, and I can't remember whether it's, I think it's every other year, if my memory serves me correct, for the State of the State speech that the President of the United States, he or she makes, and then they saying that someday in the future there'll be a woman president.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there will be?
Yeah, why not? But when that speech occurs, you have all of government in one place. You got the legislative branch with all the Supreme Court. You've got the legislative branch with the House and Senate there, all their leadership, and you have the executive branch with the president and their cabinet. If there were to be a cataclysmic event, you would have lost the continuity of government in that place because all the leadership was right there in that one spot.
Mm-hmm.
So the concept was one person,
Just one.
one person in that chain of command is not going to be there. They're going to be at an undisclosed site away from the Capitol, so that if there was a catastrophic event and all of those people were to lose their life, you'd still have continuity of government with that individual who's in the chain. The Secretary of Energy, I think, is 14th, if my memory serves me correct. You think about the Department of Energy wasn't created until under Jimmy Carter's presidency. And what was Carter there? 76 through 80, thereabouts.
Yeah.
I think in 78 was when the Department of Energy was created. So there's a pretty good list of people.
Yeah.
Now, just as an aside, one of the more fascinating things about the Secretary of Energy slot, although it's 14th in the line of succession, it's a member of the National Security Council. National Security Council is President, Vice President, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Treasury, the National, DNI, Director of National Intelligence, and the Secretary of Energy.
Why?
Because of nuclear weapons.
Oh.
You oversee all of the nuclear arsenal. The DOD, who's in the National Security Council as well, they're the delivery system. They're not the repository that does the work, that takes care of them. That, you know where one of the largest repositories of nuclear material is in the United States?
No.
Just east of Amarillo, Texas, at a place called Pantex. It's a Department of Energy site where we do substantial work on our nuclear arsenal.
As a designated survivor, you can't say where you had to go?
I wouldn't. I don't know whether that is a classified piece of information, but as far as I'm concerned, it was outside of Washington, D.C. And you think about all the, we've got Camp David is a place outside of Washington, D.C. Mount Weather is a place outside of Washington, D.C. I mean, you could go to a multitude of sites, but it would be a place where if something happened, there would be resources there, communications, the ability, staff to continue government.
Oh. And so is that just designated survivor once every time there's a State of the Union address?
That is correct. It's my understanding.
And had there ever been a Department of Energy, the secretary before?
I don't know. I mean, do you think?
I was wondering why Trump chose you to do that.
I don't think he did.
Oh.
I think this was a senior staff decision. I actually was walking through the. I was actually walking through the White House one day, and I can't remember who it was, but it was a senior staff person for the president, and they casually asked me, "Would you like to be the designated survivor?" And I'm kind of like, "Yeah, I would."
Okay, I was talking a little bit about, when you get 75, supposedly at 75, you lose half of your physical and mental abilities. I don't know I'm not trying to depress any of us here, but
that's fine.
But that's what they say.
Yeah.
But when
I'm living proof that's wrong.
We're looking at you, and I bet you can do more pull-ups than Colby. I bet you can run further.
That is not a high hurdle.
No, well, probably right. The gym's right there. We could go to the gym and try it out. So how do you do?
Before we leave that, so Kobe, how many pull-ups can you do?
I don't know. I don't know if I could even get 5. I mean, I weigh 200 pounds. It's hard.
Wow.
To get a
Are you
couple pull-ups.
6'2"?
Yeah, I'm 6'3".
Yeah. Oh, you're 6'3".
Yeah, so I'm a pretty big guy.
Yeah, you're a big guy. So you got a lot of. So if you could do 5, unless you've been practicing,
Right. I mean, even when I was in really good shape,
I'm going to
do a
be
bunch of pull-ups.
semi-impressed.
There we go.
But
Y'all should. He was quarterback. You were quarterback. Colby fancies
both
himself as a
QBs.
great quarterback.
well, he's tall enough to have been a really good one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I
was
was a
not.
really good one, but
So what is it that you do?
But here, just before we leave this,
But before
because I want to
go-
really
okay,
hammer
go
this
ahead.
home. I would crush you doing pull-ups. I mean, like,
Push-ups too.
is that something you do as part of your routine?
Yes.
Are you a pull-up guy?
Yes.
Oh, so you know how many you
I
can
know
do.
exactly how many I can do, and I will embarrass you or the vast majority of the United States Marines.
How many can you do? Wait. What did you say? The last part
I said, and the vast majority of the United States Marine Corps.
in pull-ups.
Yes,
How, do you do pull-ups every morning?
every day.
How many do you do?
I do 30 pull-ups every day in one setting.
Oh, yeah. Not
Like just 30?
30.
You can do 30.
Yes, sir.
Hands this way or hands this way?
I can't do them that way.
This way.
I have to do them this way
okay.
because remember, that's broken.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not a shot. I'm getting 30.
All right. No, there's no way. Okay. So I did 55
End of
at dive
conversation.
school. Yeah. But I probably couldn't do 5.
End of conversation.
All right.
So on to
How do you, I mean, I know you got a lot good genetics. Obviously, we
Yep.
see your hair.
Yep.
What do you attribute your ability to stay so quick and so spry and so?
So I think there are multiple things, and you said one of them, genetics. My dad was 92 when he passed away, still sharp as a tack. I had a great conversation with my dad the Saturday before he passed away on Thursday. He had a little stomach cancer, and they came in and said, "Hey, Mr. Perry, we got this, radiation." And my dad's like, "I'm good. You give me a couple of years, but they're really crappy years. I'm not interested. I'm good to go." And my dad passed away at 92 years old.
So you got genetics on your
My
side.
mama is 96, and we can call my mama right now, and she will impress you with her recall and her quickness and her. So genetics, you don't get to pick your genetics,
Mm-hmm.
but I got good genetics.
Yeah.
I got longevity genetics, and I got genetics that, from a mental state, both very sharp mom and dad into their 90s. So that's one. The second one is adult stem cells. And you know that I've been a user of mesenchymal autologous, my own cells. Celltex right here in Houston, Texas is the company. And I've been using my adult stem cells intravenously reintroduced in my body and intranasally in the last 6 years. And what I'm talking about is they put your head down on the examination table, squirt those stem cells into your nasal cavity. You pull them back, sniff them back in there as far as you can. And the theory here is through the bulbous membrane, you get the migration of the stem cells directly into the brain. Intravenously, because of the size of the cells, the blood-brain barrier keeps them from going into your brain. So theory here is that, so adult stem cell,
You do that every 6 months?
do it every 6 months. And that's since 2011, I've been doing that. Is that 14 years?
And you think that makes a difference?
I'm totally convinced. We know for a fact that adult stem cells drive down inflammation. So they know where to go in the body. They're in there moving around, and you got a inflammation here from a joint that's starting to wear because of age. You got something going on here in your heart, inflammation. Adult stem cells drive down inflammation. That is a known fact. It's not debatable. So introducing those stem cells into your body help drive down inflammation. So I will suggest to you, so I got genetics, I got adult stem cells, and then the third, which I think it's probably time we start down this avenue,
Okay.
was the treatment that I chose to do with ibogaine. And ibogaine, plant-based medicine that comes from Central Africa, the country of Gabon, Gabon. That's where it initially came from. It's been around for centuries. They've used it over there for spiritual purposes, rites of passage. And started showing up over here in the U.S. in about the mid to late 60s, and a guy took it who was a drug addict, and he took it to see what it would do, and it took his heroin addiction away from him. And that started people going, it's got an interesting characteristic there. And anyway, if you want to hear a fascinating podcast on this, I would recommend Joe Rogan. January the 5th of this last year, 2025, Joe Rogan podcast.
Y'all spent a long time on it.
Brian Hubbard and myself, and there's some really good background. Go online, pull up Stanford and Ibogaine. You'll see a Stanford clinical trial that was done in 2022, 2023 with 30 veterans. Stunning success in dealing with PTSD, traumatic brain injury, addictions. One treatment with Ibogaine. Opioids are as demonic a drug as there is out there, in my opinion. I mean, opioids do something to the brain, and the addiction happens in a hurry, excuse me, and it lasts a long time. For instance, for you to get off an opioid addiction, and we're talking about doing this with just historic staying away, abstinence, which is incredibly difficult to do with the withdrawals and all the different things. It takes 18 months. If we're to functional RMI your brain, it takes 18 months for your brain to get back to looking normal after an opioid addiction. With Ibogaine, between 36 and 48 hours, your brain is back to normal without withdrawal symptoms. One treatment.
What about alcoholism?
Same. Heroin, cocaine, fentanyl. This is a stunningly powerful, successful compound. It's the reason that the Texas legislature this last May passed clinical trials for the state of Texas. The governor signed it. Governor very, very helpful and supportive of this, as well as the Senate and the House. I think out of 181 members of the legislature and the governor, lieutenant governor, you only had like 7 people vote against this. I mean, this is an amazing story of success. And it's because the Marcus Luttrells, the Morgan Luttrells, the Chase Rowans, these individuals who came and testified to the legislature about how they had personally been affected by this. So it's an extraordinary compound that I hope more and more Texans and people all across this country will take a look at and be open. I mean, if you told me my name and psychedelics were going to be in the same sentence 6 years ago, I went, get out of here, man. What are you talking about? I'm a knuckle-dragging right-wing Republican. I know, they're bad, always been bad, been trained they were bad. But science has shown me, data has shown me, and more importantly, these veterans' lives who've been saved have proved to me that this compound works. It's exactly what we say it is. I think we're going to prove it up with these clinical trials that the University of Texas is going to oversee with a drug development partner. And I go all the way back to your first sentence. I'm going to give you a pulpit where you're going to save literally
thousands. You think this is it?
I think this is it.
Let me ask you. So I've seen the studies. Obviously, I did the Ibogaine treatment myself. You were kind enough to go with me when I did it. And it was, to me, a very spiritual experience. And I've struggled with alcohol for many, many years. And I think the Ibogaine... Yes,
you did.
I think the Ibogaine treatment really kind of put a cherry on it. It's kind of like, okay, that's in your past, young man. So when you talk about addiction, opioid, even the severe PTSD that our service members come back with, and people can't really understand what they're trying to go through. The ibogaine has really shown incredible promise. But let me ask you about just people who are aging.
Yeah.
Do you see ibogaine as being something like stem cells that people do? Maybe they don't have PTSD, maybe they don't have addiction issues, but they want to kind of rejuvenate or reboot their brain.
Yeah. So it's an interesting question. I came to this from both a personal experience and from looking at the data. I want to talk about looking at the data first. There is some very, very interesting early data that is showing that ibogaine has a regenerative quality. And what I mean by that is, let's look at the opposite word here, degenerative conditions, Parkinson's, MS. There is early information, early data, early studies that show that ibogaine and potentially ibogaine microdosed, given at levels that you wouldn't feel anything, you wouldn't know anything. It's just in your bloodstream, it's in your system, it's in your brain, regenerating. I mentioned the Stanford study on veterans with PTSD, traumatic brain injury. I think 8 of these 30 veterans had already tried to kill themselves with suicidal thoughts. They were treated, stunningly good results. 88% of them, after 2 years now, no PTSD. And the postdocs that looked at the data, every one of all 30 had measurable increase of the white matter, the myelin sheath, the superhighway that carries your thoughts in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them had measurable increase of the white matter of the brain. So there's some really clear evidence here, Tony, that the treatment with ibogaine, either flood dose or microdosing, and that's the reason I think these clinical trials are so important that we're going to be doing here in the state of Texas and hopefully in some other states as well, can show a compound that will allow you to address the atrophy that occurs in an aging brain.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about me personally, just, my, and again, bucolic life, right? We're going to make everybody look that word up and know what it means. I had this really pleasant, fun, no trauma life growing up, with the exception of, remember those 3 concussions? We know now that those concussions are cumulative in their effect. And so if you've had 3 severe concussions, that's probably why that insomnia and that anxiety showed up in pilot training for me, and it lasted for the rest of my life. You didn't see it. I hid it really well. My wife was the only one that really knew the challenge that I would have from time to time. I mean, there were a couple times in my early days of being governor that I really had to manage the anxiety. But I did. But my point with sharing this with you is that after I studied this, after I really get involved with the ibogaine issue, Marcus and Morgan Luttrell, who had both been down to be, I decided if I'm going to be the champion of this, if I'm going to be willing to go put my reputation on the line, I'm going to be treated. I want to find out how's this going to affect me. And the clinical trial that I mentioned with those 30 vets was going on at the same time I'm going through this process. I asked the doctor who's overseeing it, can I join this? And he said no, because we've already started it. But he said, I'll put you through the same protocol, which I did. I went over to Stanford University, had a baseline functional MRI. That's the most precise magnetic resonance
imaging
that you can get. It's highly, highly technical. They gave me a baseline. I went down to Ambio, which is the clinic just south of Tijuana. I was treated with Ibogaine only, a flood dose. And then I went back to Stanford.
How soon after?
A week. A week after I was treated, they did a brain scan. And then I went back 6 months later and had a brain scan. What we're seeing out of this medicine is that it has a continual effect. At some point in time, it
plateaus.
But the week out and then through the 6 month, you see still some improvements in the brain functionality. And what I mean by brain functionality is this. At 1 week, the prefrontal cortex, that's where your executive functions lie. Your concentration, your emotions, your focus, prefrontal cortex. The postdocs that looked at my brain scan showed a 27% increase in my prefrontal cortex activity. It's pretty amazing. 6 months later, I went back, interestingly, with a neurosurgeon who's a dear friend of mine who has a 40-year professional record of neurosurgery. And he was a skeptic. When I first was telling him about this, he's a dear friend, very respectful. And he's kind of, put his arm around me and said, just be careful with that. That's, he followed me through this. He went to Coronado Island the following November and looked at this data that came out of the 30 veterans that they had done at Stanford. And he said, pretty hard to argue with this data. 88% of the people who were treated had zero PTSD. We're 2 years past that now. There's still zero PTSD. There's a movie that's on Netflix, just came out within the last 30 days called Of Waves and War.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's the story about 4 of those veterans that went down and were treated. Highly recommend that your listeners take a look at it. Of Waves and War, Netflix. He went with me, this neurosurgeon, after 6 months. And as the fMRI came off and he looked at it on the computer, he saw something that was really fascinating. I got a pretty good brain. My functionality, my concentration, my focus is pretty good. Genetics, stem cells. But I had atrophy. In my initial fMR brain scan, it showed some atrophy. Not bad.
Yeah.
For a 73-year-old guy, pretty good, actually. But I had some atrophy. At 6 months, the atrophy was gone.
Completely?
Gone.
Wow.
This physician said, your brain looks like a 40-year-old. He said, you don't have any atrophy in your brain now. Now, I don't get confused. One person doesn't make a clinical trial. They're not going to, go.
It's anecdotal, but yes, it's real.
My point is, for me, Tony, my insomnia is gone.
So you tell me you lay down and you fall asleep.
I'm telling you, I wear this Oura ring, and unless I'm ill, then I don't get sick very often, or unless I've changed multiple time zones. When I lay down and go to sleep, my latency, period of time it takes me from when I lay down to when I go to sleep, somewhere around 7 or 8 minutes.
That's me too now.
Yep. I'm getting anywhere between 6 and 7 hours of sleep every night. You know, and as you age, obviously your REM sleep, your deep sleep, those go down. But if for people who wear Oura rings, you get those crowns when you're doing good.
Yeah, Francis wears one.
My crowns are not every night for sleep, but compared to where I was, if I slept 3.5 to 4.5 hours of sleep back when I was governor, that's changed. I don't have any anxiety. I don't have any insomnia. And I will suggest to you that the main reason is because of ibogaine. I am a complete believer. I'll leave. I'm not gonna advise anybody. You need to pack up and go down to Mexico and be treated.
Yeah.
But you ought to go study it.
Yeah.
And find out, is it for you? If I'm 75 years old, is that a way to stop this precipice that you just mentioned? I'll suggest.
Could be.
It could be.
I'm going to switch gears because I know I've kept you here so long, but there's a couple of things that, and I applaud you for that. I mean, I really do. It takes because of your history, your background, and because you're so well known, for you to really dive into that and be a champion of that is maybe that's what the prophet was talking about.
So here's my bumper sticker. How bad you got to hate somebody to not make this available to them?
Yeah, well, can I ask you about Mondami?
Sure.
Mondami, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't know anything other than what you see on TV. Never met him before. Don't have a clue.
You have any strong views about Mondami?
Well, there's a fascinating thing going on in the country.
Yeah.
And I'm going to back up and use up a little of your time here.
Yeah.
I never really thought about America and the freedoms that we have. And I mean, I grew up out there in Paint Creek, Texas, the son of a World War II veteran and a hero, in my opinion, and a man who loved this country, was willing to go fight and die for it. And I was surrounded by those people. My scoutmaster, who was in the 3rd Army, that Marine was in Korea. Those people who raised me were patriotic Americans. I was a Boy Scout. I was an Eagle Scout. All of those different things that I had in my life that had an effect on what I believe in. They were very patriotic Americans. It was until I left the United States as a pilot in the United States Air Force, living all over the world. I mean, the summer of '76, I'm in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I live in countries that are led by monarchies, by theocracies, I flew in and out of some communist countries in those days. So my point is, there was this amazing amount of exposure for me that I'd really never thought about before. So it was that experience of traveling all around the world, being exposed to all these different types of governments, that it kind of finally dawned on me what a great country America is. I saw capitalism, I saw socialism, I saw communism, and most people hadn't had that privilege, that opportunity to go live in other places and to see how these governments work. And that's where I'm really concerned about this generation that thinks socialism or communism is kind of an appropriate way to live, where we're all going to share this big pie out here and we're all going to live happily ever after. Go to the old Soviet Union. Go to some of these go to China. You want to see, the crazy thing for me is to see all of these people who are out protesting. Listen, we're not perfect. But we're the, of all of those places around the world, we're the most pleasant, we're the fairest, we're the most thoughtful. People should be the happiest. But for some reason or other, there's a segment of our society who thinks that the Mamdamis of the world need to lead this country, and that their communism, their socialism, their, what's yours is mine, and we're going to all live happily ever. No, we're not. It's going to be an absolute disaster. And the thing that concerns me the most is this mentality that somehow or another the rule of law is bad.
Yeah.
And that the police are our enemy, or that the Border Patrol is our enemy. I mean, I'm really concerned about what I saw in Europe 15 years ago in Brussels, with the onslaught of individuals who clearly were from Muslim nations, and they were bringing their Sharia law into. I got great friends that are believers in Islam, and they're wonderful members of society that live here. They're doctors, subspecialists, successful businessmen and women right here in Houston, Texas. You just opened, the Aga Khan just opened up a facility over there for the Shia Ismailis. Those are good people. They're not trying to say it's Sharia law and we're going to, but there's enough of that that's going on. There's a great concern. And the Mamdamis of the world who are coming in here and saying, or in the case of New York City, what historically was the financial center of the world, that we don't trust the police, we don't trust capitalism. We're fixing to go into quite an interesting experiment, I think. And with Governor Abbott and his vision of bringing Y'all Street to Dallas, Texas, I'm intrigued. I'm not going to tell the governor how to do his business at all, and I'm sure he's already thinking about this. I bet there's quite an advertising campaign that's going to go on in New York City saying, hey, if you're a Wall Streeter, why don't you come on down to Dallas to Y'all Street, and you don't have to worry about getting beat up on the streets of New York. You don't have to worry about paying exorbitant taxes to just get to live here. Your family is going to be safe in Dallas. Come on down. My bet is put the mayor of Dallas, Texas, Eric Johnson, juxtaposition to Mayor Mamdani, and we'll win that every time.
Every time. It's concerning to me. I mean, you got somebody who's 34 years old who you could put his resume on a cocktail napkin, who's never held a job
and have paper left over.
Yeah, and paper left over.
A lot of space left over.
And who's it's, as best I could tell, campaign platform is we're going to tax the rich out of existence, and we are going to make everything free, including rents. And anybody with any common sense could see what that is, but yet he won. Now, maybe he was running against somebody who was just a complete idiot.
Have good candidates.
Yeah.
That has always been a pretty good position. Have a good candidate. I'm not sure they had the best candidates running against him.
Let me ask you this: so you're obviously a Christian. You're you know this. I personally think you're a very good person and a very good friend. One thing about you I've always said is that you're a good friend. You know, they always say, like, if you want want friends, you got to be a good friend. And I think you're a good friend. But one of the things I'm wondering, when you were the governor, I think there was a record number of executions. Did you struggle with that?
I did.
Explain, please.
And we probably had the most active death row in America by a substantial margin. And if you'll recall, I was dealing with this even prior to being the governor, when I was the lieutenant governor, because George W. Bush was gone from gone from Texas, out campaigning for the presidency. And some people may or may not know this. When you're the governor, and when your body literally goes through the plane of the border of the state of Texas, you're no longer the governor. The lieutenant governor is the governor. They have all of the rights and privileges.
No, I did not know
that. Yeah, it's a pretty fascinating thing. So as George W. was gone, and there were, however many, dozen or so, or maybe even more than that, executions during that 2-year period of time, the lieutenant governor is who that fell to. Their signature was required, their engagement. I looked at it as one of the most serious responsibilities that I had. I mean, you're literally talking about someone's life. I was very comfortable in every case that they had the access to the appropriate legal system, that they had every the appeal that was due them, and we had followed the letter of the law. And when that showed up from a legal standpoint, I was quite comfortable that we were dispensing justice, and that's what the death penalty is about. It still was an issue of which I prayed about, to make sure that, Lord, that we followed the rules. And if we did, then,
But you could have intervened.
Sure.
You could have commuted. You could have.
Yep.
And
I would have considered that to be is abrogation, the proper word of my responsibilities. My responsibility was not to be judge, jury. My responsibility was to be the governor. The judge, the jury, the process was in place to find guilt, innocence, and punishment. And I'm still convinced today that the state of Texas, if we want to change and get away from capital punishment, then we need to change our statutes and our Constitution. But we haven't. So I find that we followed our desires as a state to punish those who meet that very high bar to face execution.
And you felt, because just so we're clear, I support capital punishment, period. I believe if you do certain things, you deserve death.
Yep.
But that is kind of an Old Testament concept. And I'm just curious.
I will suggest to you it's also a New Testament concept.
Explain, please.
In the sense of, here are the rules. Ananias and I can't even remember say her last name. When they came in front of Peter and they lied about what they had done with the money that they were supposed to, Holy Spirit dropped them dead right there, both of them.
But I remember
judge, jury, and executioner.
Jesus says something about leave to the Romans what is the Romans, leave to me what is to me, and I've never been able to square. And again, I don't want to get too far into capital punishment, but I've never been able to square this idea of turn the other cheek with killing someone for a crime they committed.
I think there's a real difference between turning the other cheek when somebody has said, Tony, your hair looks like you just put a ton of lard on it and then just slicked it back.
Just a minute. Let me turn that other cheek.
Versus executing someone for killing a police officer.
Or a police officer.
I mean, that's
I can understand.
I mean,
yeah.
pretty wide gulf there. We have decided in the state of Texas, there are crimes that are heinous enough. Killing a child, killing a police officer.
Elderly. I think elderly.
Being the second part of a crime where somebody's killed.
Yeah.
Where there's a loss of life. That you could be held liable in that case. If that's the right terminology for the crime, and that there's this handful of things that the Texans have said, if you do this, we are going to take your life. Now, if you do this and this, we're not ever going to let you be a part of society again, but we're not going to take your life. We're going to put you in prison forever. You know, we have all these different levels of punishment, but this is punishment. This is judgment. This is justice. And so I'm quite comfortable that that is a system that the people of the state of Texas, the majority, still support. Now, we obviously don't have a very active death row now for, I guess, a number of reasons. But while I was in office, there were probably as many executions during that 14-year period of time that, now, number one, I was a governor for
A long time.
2.5 terms.
Yeah.
3.5 terms, excuse me. And, but even per year, they're probably one of the highest, most active death rows in American history.
You know, one of the things that really, sometimes when you're on this podcast, and we're almost done, but that really irks me, I always talk about things that irk me. And one of the
I've
things, one of the comment I'll make about you is you throughout your long history of public service, you never got rich. And I only say that, I mean, you've had some obviously financial success since you've left office, but that has nothing to do with your
You know
office.
that.
Yeah.
You know me probably as well as any person that I know because of where we've been and what we've done together. And, you know, you representing me when I got accused of breaking the law.
Total bullshit. But you are an anomaly in that respect, I think, because...
See, I disagree. I don't think that most people in public service skirt the rules and enrich themselves.
Okay, well, that's an interesting take there.
Well, and partly because...
But maybe I'm a populist. I just seem to think that there's some club up there that I'm not a part of. People like Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, and et cetera are up there somehow getting rich, and I'm out here busting my ass.
They probably are. Those people that you just mentioned, they probably are. But that's not the vast majority of them. So and that's yes, there are people who, I mean, we can go through the list, you know, probably some people you support for public office that have enriched themselves in office inappropriately, in my opinion. But the point is this, the vast majority of them out there do not. They follow the rules. That's not what sells papers or gets the, you know, media juiced up.
Well, I will say that. Then I will say this. That's a different take.
But one's too many.
Agreed.
One's too many.
Agreed.
When you put your hand up and say, "Here am I, send me to come work for me. Here, I'm telling you how much I'm going to pay you." Starting out, I don't even know what a United States congressman makes today or a United States senator. I know what a House member in the state of Texas and a senator makes $600 a month.
Yeah.
But you knew what you're going to be getting. If you use your position to enrich yourself, shame on you. but the vast majority follow the rules. You don't read about them. Now, there are people out there that have cheated that you don't know about. I get that. But I'm telling you, from my perspective, having done this for 40 years, been in the State House, Ag Commissioner, Lieutenant Governor, Governor, Secretary of Energy, the vast majority of the people out there are honest. They follow the rules. And that's the reason America is a successful country, because we do.
Okay.
That's the reason I worry about the Mamdamis of the world, because they're basically going to send a message of, you don't have to follow the rules.
A couple of closing questions. If you could punch anybody in the face with no consequences whatsoever, other than you would receive the satisfaction of doing so, is there somebody like that you would punch?
Nope.
Okay. Sounds like you're at peace.
Well, I am at peace. I mean, and all it would do is hurt my hand.
If you could deport one person, illegal or not, is there anybody that you would deport out of this country? I'm thinking of one myself, but go ahead. Anybody that you would deport?
I'm a rule of law guy.
Okay.
And if you came in here, you know what wears me out about this whole we hate ICE and and all this discussion that's going on is we used to be a country that if you broke the law, then you needed to.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm all about giving you a second chance.
Sure.
We did that with criminal justice reform in this state, and it made a big difference. I'm all about giving you a second chance, but I'm going to punish you for that first breaking of the law. Now, this whole idea that you came into this country and did not follow the rules, and you knew you were breaking the law to come into the country. If you didn't, then shame on you. You knew that you were not following proper protocol and the law. And we wake up here and say, well, they're not going after the worst of the worst. You broke the law. And my God, we've been talking about this since 2011. We need to fix the system. If it were up to me, in 2011, I laid out this idea, and I people who said I was for amnesty. I said, we're going to make you register. We're going to know who you are. You got a year to go down to your embassy or your consulate and register. We're going to take your biometric data. We're going to take a picture of your eyes. We're going to take a thumbprint. We're going to know who you are. And at that particular point in time, we're going to give you a permit to be in this country. That's going to be good for 1 year. You go down and you run that car through every year, and if you paid your taxes, and if you have not broken a law that got up to the point of where we were going to deport you, you're good to stay. Now, you're not a U.S. citizen. You're not going to be able to vote and all those kind of things, but you can stay here as long as you want, as long as you every year go down. Because what that would do, the bad guys are never going to go register. And at some point in time, we're going to stop them. They're going to have to, you're going to have to show your ID to get something done. If you don't have that ID, then we're going to, and by the way, the border's not open.
Yes.
We got the border secure, either with technology and technology is basically the way. I've never been a big fan of, the border fence. I mean, it works in some places, but technology is the way you really lock the border down. We can do that. And at that particular point in time, if you want to be a citizen, there's a line right over there. Just go get in it and go through the process. And that, had we put that in place 14 years ago, you think we'd be having this problem today? No. So that's my point with, I just want to see this country get back to the rule of law. So I would deport anybody who came into this country illegally. Now, if you want to try to come back into this country and add to our society and add to our economy, let's figure out how to expedite that and help these folks do that. But because you broke the law, and you may have thought somebody said, "Oh, come on in, we're okay, we're going to look the other way." Shame on you for believing them, because they were using you for their political purposes. And they've hurt your family to promote their political position. Shame on them. And shame on you for believing them.
Governor,
Been
you're
good.
awesome.
Tony Buzbee.
Are you watching any movies or any shows right now? Are you reading any books that you want to recommend to us? Because we're always looking for new things.
Saw a really interesting author night before last, who I was a big fan of. I never met him before, and I got to meet him, shake his hand. He signed some books for me. Sebastian Junger.
Sebastian Junger.
Yes, Sebastian Junger. He came on the scenes in the mid 1970s, 90s. 1997, I think his first book came out, The Perfect Storm. Remember that book about those guys that were out fishing and that strange climate conditions came?
What's his name? Made a movie out of it.
That's correct. And it was his book, Sebastian Junger.
Okay.
But where he really caught my attention is he wrote a book called War. He went and stayed with the 173rd Thunder and Herd over in the Korengal Valley in 2010. And he wrote a book called War that became a documentary called Restrepo. Restrepo being the name of the forward operating base over in Afghanistan, the Korengal Valley. Really interesting guy, Sebastian Junger. The other book that I'm working on, it's been published, but it needs to be spiffed up, is with my terminology. Needs to be edited, tightened up, cleaned up. And it's called A Christian's Guide to Psychedelics. And it's by a lady from Tyler, Texas named Wendy Rees, R-E-E-S. So
Christian's Guide to Psychedelics.
Yeah.
Does it talk a lot about ibogaine? Or no?
No, it talks about just plant medicine writ large. Ibogaine being in that
category.
But interesting, back to there's some fascinating observations about biblical references to plant medicine, which I would not have picked up on until the last 4 or 5 years.
Final question. So what is the biggest misconception people have about you that you would like to correct?
Well, I got good hair, so they got
clear.
that one right.
Yeah, they got that right, for sure.
Most of us in the conservative side of the world, the left always tries to say, you're not very smart. They did it to George Bush. And look, you may not have agreed with George Bush's politics and what have you. And if my mediocre grades at Texas A&M, those weren't a reflection of my intellect or my smartness. They were a reflection of my not really giving a tinker's damn and having a great time and recognizing that all the Air Force wanted was a 2.0. And I tried to get as close to that as I could. And I was very successful with that.
You did well. You did well.
But I think it's the when I really can't tear down your logic or your positions, I'll make fun of your intellect. I'll say you're dumb.
Right.
And, you're an Aggie. You were an animal science major. You made a D in meats.
Yeah.
So I think we've kind of proven that if our policies and our character is what really makes up your intellect, I'm okay.
We appreciate you.
Love you.
Love you too.